So, hello.
Hello, good morning, good morning. Happy Fempreneur Friday.
And Laura's popped on with us, waiting for some other people, and she is an amazing brow artist. She
Ooh,
does hair. She has a new studio that she just opened in Beverly Hills. So,
amazing. We all need a great brow artist. So.
yeah.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. So today our topic is going to be spiritual awakening in business, or I guess you could say like spiritual awakening and business, and like how that affects the flow of your purpose to your business. And like, so we wanted to start with kind of how we kind of started in our relationships to our purpose before we kind of became woke or spiritually kind of awakened. And then, we'll tell a brief story about, how we each our awakening stories. Scary because we've never told such intimate stories before. And then after that, we're going to talk about just really how awakening to our inner light, our power, our purpose really changed us and transformed us for the better, and our businesses for the better. So yeah, that's today.
So just to reiterate, like how spirituality really changed and we evolved throughout our business, and how we use it today, and also some principles of like how can you use it, how can you use that in your business to start feeling really grounded, start tuning into your own knowing and your own trust in your business. So we're excited to tell you like kind of how we were before and what happened and how we did today to really like influence our business.
Yeah. So do you want to start or should I, Stacy? So do you want to start or should I?
You can start.
Okay, I'll start. All right. So I guess, kind of how me and Stacy met. I think we've told the story before that we were college roommates, etc., whatever. So that's how we kind of, had our first interaction. I posted on my page the story of like our first outing and all that, which was funny. But really, that's for me. College is where my spiritual awakening happened, where I first became woke. And for me, before that point, I think that I was pretty confident, but I had this like naive, like, rose-colored glasses on all the time, I feel like. And me and Stacey we partied a lot, not that partying is bad in any sense, but I think that my relationship to partying and everything like that also changed. So, and before like I kind of became more spiritually awakened, I just had so much fear, like this fear about, my purpose, my fear about actually like calling myself an artist, because my mind was a lot, conditioned to be like, well, you can only make money in specific ways. It's like, you can't make money being a full-time artist, you can't make money doing this and this. So I just had these thoughts still programmed in my mind of what I could and could not do. And so while I was kind of just like, innately confident and free, like I just my mind was still bound by a lot of like societal boxes and limitation boxes. So in college, I think that we kind of evolved this idea of wanting to have a women's community, and Stuck Designs was actually my senior thesis project. So I had those kind of like loose structures, but is Stacy, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so then, I think that like relationships really affected the way that, I evolved, like my spiritual awakening evolved. Are you there still, Stacy? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Kind of, but I cannot see you. That's so weird.
We can do, but
okay.
Plugging in my
Oh, that's why. Okay, so sorry for that break, everybody. But yeah, really, what came to my spiritual awakening like profoundly was relationships. And I think that ultimately, like, other people often like test how you your process and kind of almost push you to that like awakening point, and that point where you have to make a shift and a change in your life. And I went through a really tough relationship with a guy, and I remember that, you know, our final argument, like when everything was kind of just crumbling and falling apart, he kind of wanted to just like cut it off, like completely, like cold turkey, which was a shock to my system. And in that instance, it was like what detached my ego self, you know, from this, the light that was within me. Like, it was just like, I detached from all of this, like all the superficial external world at that moment, and was just like, I could almost see myself looking down at myself. And I was like, wait, like what is real to me? And I remember looking at my phone like, this isn't real life, like this is not real connection, and what is. And so it really just was a moment in which like light came into my consciousness, and I could finally step back and see myself full circle. Like I could see this external version of myself, but then consciousness came in. So I also had this very much inner knowing that, you know, my light is deeply from within, you know, and it's
So
not
when you say, is it okay if I ask you a question? Because like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
people,
please.
people are following along. When you say like consciousness came in, what did that really, like someone that maybe doesn't even know what that is, right? Like what does that look like, and how did that feel?
To me, the simplest way to really define or explain consciousness is like, I mean, if you meditate, you probably understand that. But if you don't, if you're not that far either, I think that if you have this feeling of just sitting in silence and peace, and being able to hear and feel and understand stillness, and being able to sit in the quietude of the present moment. And a lot of people get those instances or those glimpses when like away in nature, or when, you know, on a beautiful trip, or when something just amazing happens. And it's really because your mental thoughts slow down in that process, and you can just be here and be now. And that's what really life is, because there's no outside of the here and now.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't bring that aspect, that light and that consciousness into business and into entrepreneurship. And I think that it's honestly pretty controversial that we even talk about it, you know, and that we're even talking about it to this extent, because a lot of people haven't gotten that far yet. But well, with speaking about it, I should say, because people have gotten extremely far.
Yeah.
But I think that it's because it's uncomfortable to talk about a lot of the time. And because when you have that moment of just like, wow, okay, I'm a human being and I'm here, but I also understand that life and the world is so much more than just like this external version of me and who I am. Like I'm deeper than the skin, you know, that you see externally. Like my soul goes deeper than that. Yes. And it's like when you really truly deeply understand that, then you know your life has to transform, your business has to transform, the way you look at entrepreneurship and earning money has to change and has to transform. So for me it was, you know,
so it sounds like that is like what called you into like your presence. Like
yes,
okay,
yeah,
so
it literally like snatched me into my presence, because you know, while it was kind of a shitty relationship, it was pretty toxic, like, but at the same time we learn from those relationships, and sometimes those relationships are what, you know, propels us to take that leap, to make that push, to make that change. And for me, it was a very toxic relationship with a Capricorn that did it for me. But you know, that just like he taught me a lot about business. He was very strong-willed, so that also, you know, it gave me stepping stones for where I wanted to go next. But because of the kind of like emotional abuse and stuff like that I felt in that relationship, I also was so much more clear about where I needed to go with my business and where I needed to go with my purpose after that. Because I was like, well, I don't want other women to have to go through this, and I don't want other women to have to struggle, you know, through and swim through all these like this emotional turmoil to get to a place where they're happy and peaceful, and a business place where they're peaceful and happy. Like, I want it to be easier on the next woman. So that, it kind of built the evolution of where I wanted to go after I really woke up and became alert and aware and was like, wow, okay, the world is much more expansive than I thought. Because
so this is such a great point to point out. Like, so then how did you come up with Stuck Designs, like out of this spiritual thing that was going on, and really, like, it was a relationship that started propelling you into like really deep relationship with yourself, it sounds like.
Right.
And how, how did that turn into your business?
Well, I think we, my senior thesis existed before that point happened. And just like the blueprint of it all existed before that, conscious moment of awakening happened. But when that moment did happen, and I really detached from all the superficial and kind of really felt my light within, and that changed everything, then I knew that a spiritual and a conscious aspect needed to be put into my business, because I just had this kind of download that there would come a time when people very deeply needed to know what's real, and know what's like and have a need for what feeds your soul, and not just what externally feeds you. So I realized that, like, that love, that consciousness, that light needed to be profoundly put into my business, whether it's through art, whether it's just through the love that's in it, no matter what it was. But so I think it just kind of pivoted it in that way, like, and in a more powerful way. But it also made the path more complex, because I couldn't do things like the normal unconscious way. I couldn't run my business the normal unconscious way, because I kind of made a spiritual commitment to run it at a higher level, and to run it at a level that touched people's souls, rather than just like drain people's pockets, And I didn't want to like superficially like pull people into my business or anything like that.
Oh my God, what you're saying is so key. And then I'm like, I have to just like reflect it back to you, because like something that you said that you probably didn't even realize that you said was that all of this was happening before you even like kind of woke up or became conscious. Like all of these like pillars were getting laid out for you, and that's what I am so like loving to talk about, that we're actually already being called in a direction, right? And then when you saw, you're like, oh, wait a minute, dang, like I see the path that I'm going on, but it's a totally different path than I would have expected, because now I can't do it in the ways that fed my ego. Like now it's like, oh wow, how is this like a deep commitment to myself, and what is it that I really need, and how can I feed that to the world at the same time, right? Like how can I grow that much so I can feed it to the world?
Which is a lot for like a 20-year-old to deal with.
Like, how do I even do this? Yeah.
Right. So, and that's why I think it was such a journey for us, because, when we woke up or whatever, I feel like it wasn't a mass social consciousness thing. Like people are now, more open to discussing consciousness, more open to discussing, waking up, meditating, speaking to community members about it. But before, it was like, if you even spoke about it at all, you're just crazy,
Yeah.
So I think that,
oh yeah, tell me about it. You guys were like, why are you going to these like seminars, or what are you doing?
So, but you explain yours, because I know that I think that it's important to know that everyone can come to consciousness completely differently, in different ways and at different times, and because it's really about your own soul. Nobody can take you there at the end of the day. Like, you can listen to as many teachers and talks as you want, which do help, provide as building blocks to your level of consciousness and to heighten your frequency. But to really sustain your, new high frequency or your vibration, you really do have to learn how to hold it on yourself, hold it by yourself, and like, and for yourself. And like, I think it just requires, like, it's almost like building a muscle,
Yes.
Building a muscle to like house this new light that you found, and to like protect it. Right. So and for me, it's like, it came with a lot of hard lessons to how to protect it.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I was so naive, and I was just like, I don't know. I didn't really have any like friend drama or people. I just was like, oh, everything's, great and wonderful. And, we go to the mall, we get outfits, we go to parties, we go out. And it's just like,
Yeah.
But life completely transforms, once you become more aware and more
Right.
mindful, like about what is happening and what is going on around you. And that you are so much more than like what meets the eye, and that life is so much more than what meets the eye. Life is more about, the things that you can't see than the scene. So yeah, but I was gonna say that Stacy kind of took a different route, and she's more about like the courses and the seminars, which I came to later in my consciousness.
Right.
But hers, I think that's what kind of propelled her to awakening.
Yeah. What actually, our stories are very similar. I think like I was just going through something similar that what you were going through at what I think you're like 23 or like when we were in college, but that was happening to me like at the end of high school, like right when I was like 18. That's what was happening to me, and which was fun because then I was really able to share my experiences with you, and I feel like that's what really had us to start getting closer and start having these conversations.
Right.
And that's what was so fun. But yeah, I guess we could talk about that and then talk about our businesses now and how we're using it now. But yeah, similarly to what you're saying, and even to connect our stories, is I also was in a really, really traumatic kind of relationship when I was in high school. I was dating a Marine, and he went off to war. I remember even like protesting the war back in 2005, and just was in love with this guy, my first love, all these things. And then 2 years later, out of just like a conversation that we had, he stopped talking to me. And this was like before social media was so, we can figure out what's going on. Like,
and that does something, right?
Yeah, it does. It does something to you. It does something to your heart, your hardened self, like your protection over like, oh wow, I'll never like this naiveness, right? And if you're just tuning in and hearing this random stories about our first relationships, how we're talking about this in business is like, just really coming to like ourselves and coming to like our consciousness. And why I'm talking about that situation is that really took me to a low. So
right.
As we continue talking, just kind of like weaving the things in there, like our lows really end up bringing us to the things that we're doing. And I feel really called to like talk about how our lows bring us to our purpose.
Right.
Especially as I'm moving into our mastermind, which I'll talk about later too. It's all about purpose and our divine assignment, but it's like really what were the things that you really had to struggle with, really had to learn and pick yourself up for. Like for me, I felt like I had to pick myself off of the floor. 2 years I was with this person, knew my family, my friends, everything. There was so much tied into this person.
Right.
My sister is actually dating his best friend, right? And he was just gone. Like he would not answer my phones, and when like told me he loved me like the day he left, and then he just didn't answer my phone calls, like just totally blew me off, ignored me. And I was like kind of obsessed, like what happened, like what's wrong with me? So
because it changes your reality as you know it, right? Like your external reality as you know it, and you're like, but I still feel this, and like I still feel connected to this person, but externally I don't, this is not happening anymore, and I don't know where this person is, and so it just changes everything. I feel like it's almost like a light switch has to go on because you have to refigure out things.
Yeah. And especially how people relate it to now, it's like a portal, right? It's like, okay, like this was it for a moment, but now like for your new level, this thing cannot go with you. And what is it that you have to learn at this moment to actually propel you to like what you actually are going to be able to receive? So, so much. And you know what? Sometimes these things fall apart because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for anyone. Like I know that I had a lot of my worthiness tied into this relationship, right? Now I know.
Right.
But back then I had no idea. I just had no idea how to pick myself up and hold that for myself. And it's so similar to the story that you're mentioning. So, what I had to do in that period of time was like really go through a transition of like going from feeling like hideous, not worth it, like, how could someone just like throw you away like trash? And then also some of those things are actually already created before we even get to that moment, right? Some of them happen way back into like our inner child and our small Stacy who just
because that's all
yeah,
stages.
accepted, all those things. So fast forward, we're not going to go down too many of the just like the little girl stories, but I think what is cool about like just different trials that we have been throughout our life now is what I call, or actually one of my other teachers called, like bringing us to the mat. It actually like brings us to the room. Like it brought me and Brett together talking about, I had previously gone through a really hard relationship, and also like I had no completion of that relationship. He never talked to me again. Never talked to me ever. And then I was like, oh, Brett, I know, what you're going through is hard. I'm able to listen. And also I know that you can get through this. If I can get through it, you can get through it. And having those like people in your life really allow you to just believe, it's like the belief.
Yeah.
And when we come back to Brett's business, as what she was just starting was like, starting stuff design, starting like a self-love process, starting talking about how can we cultivate like self-love within ourselves? How can we make it creative, right? Like how can we have a self-love expression? And all of that really just like ties into each other. Like what actually brought her to her mat? Like what brought her to
and how can we facilitate an easier journey for
100%.
women?
Something that took me 3 years at that time before I met Brett. How can I have her like get over this in like a couple of months, within the next year? Like, yeah, it really was like within the next year, me and her were popping, we were like, we were doing all the things. So, so that was really fun. And like, really like how we transitioned that into our business. So that's like one of my stories. And then I think like, I also, a lot of the things come out of relationships, but what I would really say, that's so key now is like, I felt like I had the relationship, I had and especially business, like I felt like I made it, right? Like I had the number that I wanted to make back in college and after graduating, and like, this is the things I wanted, this is the apartment I want, this is the car I want, and check mark, and then fail, and it felt like the biggest failure to get the things that I wanted and feel like a complete nothing. Like this doesn't feel good. Like what am I doing?
It's like hard for the ego to let go of what it's mentally wrapped around and attached to and connected to. And I think our egos hold so tightly to those kind of relationships, and often they're just like built on kind of just addiction and clinging and all that. And I think that once those chains are broken and you're like, wait, I'm still amazing just as I am and who I am, and when you also attract other people around you who can support you in that and uplift you in that, then not only does that propel you, but it propels like your vision, your purpose, where you want to go, how you want to expand your business. And so Stacy, how then did like waking up in that way connect to how Exalter evolved?
Oh, yes. So what, similar to you, like how I started Exalter was really like a passion for myself, like bringing her out. So Exalter to me was like, bring her out, exalt her, like figure out how to, build her up. And, in that case, the same way, I was like so interested in women empowerment, development, women entrepreneurship. And I just started figuring out like, okay, I got to this place, had all the things I wanted, and still it doesn't feel good. Like I was so tied to my job. I was, just hopping around, drinking whenever I was off, like getting little sleep. My body was deteriorating, and I decided like, okay, no, this is not it. This is not it. I really would love to be successful, but not looking at these things to give me this validation, but how can I actually live from the inside out? How can like I live in my purpose and actually still be successful, do all the things that I want to do, and how can I feel successful already? So that's really where it started.
Right.
And actually, while I was working, all that I did, I ended up living in San Jose by myself. I didn't really know much people there. And I worked, and when I came home, I wrote. Like, I just was journaling. I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to a lot of Jim Rohn. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's amazing. He's an old guy.
And you did have a peaceful, beautiful space there to
I
do
did.
that.
It was amazing. I loved it. You know, I started just implementing the things and really just like going back to the things that I knew. And that started birthing, you know, my process. And I started just blogging, and that's how Exalt Her started, as a blog. And eventually when I came back home, you know, it became a book. And
was it a Tumblr?
so, what is it?
Was it a Tumblr blog?
It was a WordPress. It was just a blog. Yeah, it was a blog.
Where's your blog? We should
It's still there.
have that.
Well, actually, part of it is still there. Another website
Okay.
that I had more of the writing, it got hacked. So that was years ago. But yeah, so now what it has evolved to is like after I wrote the book, and also have gone up and down in so many other ways, right? Because same thing, it's like kind of what takes us to the thing. And
Right.
yeah, now I really stepped into like the coaching aspect of it, you know? So, and have never felt so connected to my purpose than ever before, because it's like something I've always weaved through, but then never felt like I can actually do it. Like, no, I can't. And like, you know what? One of the things that I'm sure I've said this on our call before, but God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. So really like tuning in to like what really is pulling you, and showing up there and seeing what happens.
Right.
How can we do that more and more and find out what that is? I know you have that experience too, Brett. So
yeah, and then I think once you can have purpose, I think, and kind of before you are fully like conscious or fully awakened, but like when you have purpose and then it's paired with that consciousness, that awareness, that inner mindfulness, then it's really like you have, I don't know, you have something else and higher propelling you. Like shit can go wrong, things can go bad, like, you know, you can fail, but you always have this other something, you know, calling you. There's this quote that's like, you know, your pain pushes until your vision pulls you. And so like once you have this purpose and also this higher frequency, this higher awareness, then it's really like you're being pulled by a higher light, a higher consciousness. Even when, you know, you fail and feel like you can't do it anymore, you're still in that light. You still know some part of you that there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, probably because of how you came to spiritually awakening, and because you had a dark night of the soul and a dark moment where you crumbled and thought nothing could happen again, nothing could grow again, and nothing could be reborn again, and then it happened. And so I think that when you come to spiritual awakening, it's like you have that, you know, inner knowing and that inner confidence, because you're like, wait, I've been through this before in a way, you know, and I know that these might be a separate set of circumstances, but I know that I can get through it because of what my journey has been, and because of how many other things that I have, you know, come out of and, you know, birthed anew. And, you know, so I think that when you're walking in just spiritual consciousness and entrepreneurship, it's a more stable foundation, because you have these internal tools to pick yourself back up again each time if you fall, and, you know, and you just have this inner knowing that, you know, everything's okay. Everything, I'm a miracle because I'm breathing, and I'm a miracle because I'm alive and here and now. And at the end of the day, you know, that love that's within that presence, that here and now, that's really all that matters. And we have that consciousness and that knowing, then moving and playing with business, it's fun. It's a game. It's like, you know, you realize like, hey, life is just a game, and something we play, and, you know, and it becomes a more beautiful play.
Yeah, where we can be, and where we can create, where we have an opportunity to like tune into what it is that we're here to like learn and be, and also be open to like the moments. One of the things that really came to me like this week was about choosing our lives, right? Like how much are we not choosing like the things that are as is right now, and we're waiting for something to happen, or you know, waiting for tomorrow to be happy. And I'm not saying that you need to be happy right now, but also like what experience are you not experiencing because you're waiting to be happy?
Waiting,
like,
right.
Yeah, like
right.
like sometimes it's like even just holding on to the sadness, right? Like
right.
actually if you hold on to it and don't experience it, you will not get to the happy. So
Right.
it's like, how can I experience my experience right now as it's happening?
Yes, and I mean, it's so hard, especially if you like you're not necessarily happy in your present moment, or you're not in the environment
Yeah.
you know want to be in.
Right.
But I think that when you are really tapped in, and when you have come to some sort of spiritual awakening, whether you've, because you know when you spiritually awaken, you know, you have moments of like being conscious, and then you fall out, and then you have moments of consciousness again, and you can fall out, and it goes up and down until you can sustain and hold that frequency and that light and that high vibe. But it takes a while to get there. You know, it's like I said, it's like a muscle. It's like riding a bike.
Right.
And I think that, you know, the longer that you can sustain that, you realize that, like, you know, waiting, the concept of waiting, it's really illusory. It's like, it's an illusion, because we are all just right here and right now. And we are never placed where we are not meant to be at the moment. You know, like we are where we're meant to be doing what we need to do. And it's like, the more that we trust that and tap into that and breathe into the present moment of it, it's like, you may not be happy with what your circumstances or your present moment with is, but it's like you can be at peace with it and you can sit with it. And then once you can, like, because you need a feeling good tone and a feeling like good vibration to bring in anything higher, to bring in any other higher manifestation. So it's like, when in the waiting, it's very hard, but I think when you can like breathe and be like, you know what, things aren't perfect, but hey, I'm alive, I'm breathing. I'm so thankful for all that I do have and all that is surrounding me, and my business the way it is, and my community the way that it is. And when you're thankful for all these little things, then you kind of, you know, you open a door for more to come in. You open a door for more opportunities, more blessings to come in. But you have to cut the cords of waiting.
Being able to like hear what's being called of you, like what's like the next best step to take, because sometimes it's be like, you know, like I have no idea, because like we're so in our head, we're so into like all the comparison, we're so into all the things that we're not doing. It's like, okay, just like breathe, like I'm here, this is my life, this is my ride,
right?
Like when they say we're spiritual beings having a human experience, like my experience. And each moment we're like not living it, and we're and we get to that next moment where we thought that that was going to give us the life, and that moment is also fleeting.
Right. Oh, what I ask myself a lot is like, when I'm kind of, you know, frustrated, or in moments of just like, oh, I don't know what's happening or how I'm gonna do this, like, if you breathe and sit and ask yourself, like, okay, what is wrong in this moment, in this right here, right now moment? Are there any problems right here, right now, where I sit in this instant? And more than likely the answer is no. Like, I'm breathing, I'm sitting, I'm alive, I'm here, I'm, you know. And once you sit and you come to that realization of like, wait, there are no problems right now, then you realize, like, ultimately all your solutions are within it. There really are no problems. But the mind, when it's running and going and circling in all these mental loops, these negative mental loops, it creates problems. And consciousness unties those knots, unties those mental knots, and you can just clearly come to a point of like realization where you're like, I can handle things that come up. I can handle anything that comes up, because I know that I have this power within, and I have this light and consciousness within to handle it. So yeah.
Perfect. I think I perfect is really good with that. And just as an update for anyone that's tuning in, we have Fempreneur Friday. We actually have an IG now. So you can follow us over there at Fempreneur Friday, and we are building a community of female entrepreneurs and resources. And if you check into any of our bios, there is a link for our Discord community, and it's a free community. It has resources. You can ask questions there. and we wanted to make it a little bit more interactive. And what's coming, because this is our third week in December, right? No,
Yes,
that's
yes.
December.
Wait, yeah.
Okay. We have one more call, so like we're not on next week, but we're going to be on the week after. And in January, we're going to start hosting just, Fempreneur Friday circles. So where we can actually interact together, we can talk about these different topics, we can talk about what's going on with you, we can celebrate together, celebrate our wins, celebrate like what's happening. And yeah, we're excited to really host that. So anything else?
Yeah, and I mean, men aren't totally excluded, we're just femme.
Yeah.
But, if you enjoy our talks too, you know, by all means. But yeah, our Instagram is at Fempreneur Friday, not with an S. And yeah, our Discord, link in our bio, please join our community. We'd love to connect. I think we're moving into a space in society where community is so important. It is so valuable, and we really can learn from each other. Like, we're not ever pointing fingers or saying this is the right way or one way to do something. We want to learn from you all as we learn from each other and as we have learned from each other in our journeys. So yeah, that's us. These are our little short awakening, coming to spiritual consciousness and entrepreneurship stories, and we hope that you can learn from them too, and please share your own with us if you are just coming to spiritual awakening and have questions, or if you have another story you want to share, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, or if you don't even know what that means or entails or how even to start, feel free to join our community or DM us. We're here to support, because that's what really propelled us. We know that, what you see today is because of like mentors, teachers, friends, sisterhood, and like other female entrepreneurs that have really led us. So we're excited to, have those conversations.
Women supporting women.
Exactly. I know, right? Like collaboration over comparison. So like, let's go. Like that is where we're going to be able to like reach new heights.
We're not competing anymore.
Yeah.
And competition is really an illusion anyway. So
hell yes. Hell yes.
All right. Well, happy Friday.
Happy Fempreneur Friday.
This will be up on YouTube later today.
Yes.
If you're already watching this on YouTube in the future, then hi. But yeah.
Yes,
right,
hello.
We'll see you later. Happy
yes,
Friday.
And also you can tune into on Exalter. It also has an area where it's Fempreneur Friday series. You can check out the past ones too if you wanted to there. All right.
And sign up for Stacy's new course.
Oh yes, and in about 20 minutes, we're starting the La Aramuna, the Divine Assignment Mastermind. So if these are conversations that you love to have and are interested in having, you can take a look on my Instagram. It says more information about the mastermind. And La Aramuna, it just means the purpose. It's in Sinhala, which is my, thank you. I know, I love it. I steal my husband's like language time because it's so beautiful. And I'm excited about hosting it. It's magical. So just tune in and I'll talk about it more as it goes along and what's happening there. So okay.
Yay. All right. Well, I feel great. I hope you all do too. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, bye.